Good evening. It is 8:05 p.m. Eastern Time, 5:05 p.m. on the West Coast. And we are going to be, my name is Elise Castanquay. I am a Creative Memories Advisor. And this is part of our Coast to Coast scrapbooking, where Deanne Castro in California, Karen Mahoney in Massachusetts, and I teach 2 classes once a month. We try to coincide it with the virtual crop, and this happens to be the Worldwide Virtual Crop Weekend. For tonight's layout, I'm going to be doing the Go Fetch Perfect Kitty Cat project recipe. And I'm going to take my face away, but I just wanted to say hello. And then we will get started. For this layout, if you happen to have, I'll just show you the Perfect Kitty Cat paper pack. We're going to be using 2 base pages. So they could be 2 papers from the designer paper pack. You could use one from here and one from the matte paper pack. And then in addition to that, as your base, we're going to be using a designer paper and a piece of cardstock or a tonal paper for punching. And then if you have the designer mats, you'll also be using the mats to cut apart. We'll be using 5 mats. I am not using the Go Fetch or Perfect Cats for Perfect Kitty Cat because I have no pets. And so I want to show you how you can slightly change your layout. So for your background, you choose 2 different papers. As you can see here, there is a blue check and a brown pattern. And so for me, I'll be using the Blue Waves and this rainbow striped paper from Sun Rays for Days. And then for designer paper number 1, which is this one, we'll be cutting these strips and this big matte piece. And so we'll have the reverse side of 1. This is a great place to put your statement print. So I'm going to be using what they call a statement print. Some people call it a hero print. It's one of our busier patterns because we'll see it'll go behind. So for here, it's like this paw print. It'll be the paper that goes behind your mats. But it also goes here where you see this strip. And then the back side is where the red is. So we will also be using the back side of the paper. So make sure that that you do like both sides, because this first paper you will use the second side of. The second piece of paper they suggest could be cardstock. I'm using a tonal yellow paper. For me, I use traditional scrapbooking pages, so the lighter weight in my album makes me happy. So I'm using this tonal yellow, and what that's going to be cutting, just in the guide here, is the background 7 by 10 and 2 mats, which here is this blue. And then it's also the 2 mats here. And then finally, they used a sheet of the matte paper. And so you can either use cardstock, we'll be cutting 4 by 6 mats, or in my case, I will be using variety mats that came with the Sun Rays for Days. A couple of them are larger than 4 by 6, so I will be trimming them down. All right, so I'm going to set aside I can actually use my base paper right where it is. I'll just leave it there. And we're going to start with our statement print. So this is designer paper number 1, and we'll be using the 12-inch trimmer. You will also be using a punch. If you happen to have the kitty cat punch, the suggestion is that you use, I have to think about what the name of the punch is. Well, they use the dog punch here, which is called the Pet Palace punch. But you can also use the feline dine punch if you are using the original ones. But any shape punch will do. I actually brought with me the scallop square punch. when I left my house today, I wasn't sure which paper pack I was going to use. And I feel like the scallop square is one that really goes with anything. The scallop square is one that you can get from your advisor. It is an advisor exclusive still, I believe. So reach out to your advisor if it's something you decide that you want. All right, so this statement print is going to be placed in both directions. So my flip-flops are non-directional. However, my watermelon is directional. I want my watermelon seeds to go up and down. And so when I do cut my stripe, this is the 2.5-inch strips will be vertical. So just double check that you like the direction of both sides going vertically. The second piece will turn on its side. That doesn't bother me with the flip-flops. And the watermelon will be unaffected because we'll only be turning one 2.5-inch strip over. All right, so here are my notes. We're going to be cutting at 2.5 inches. And as Karen mentioned in her earlier video, just make sure that your trimmer, if you are cutting on top of something, that you don't ever go off your page, because then you're not cutting straight. And also, I think everybody knows about the little foot here, but in case you don't, there is a foot at the bottom, and if you put it out, it makes sure that your trimmer stays stable. So we're going to be cutting at 2.5 inches, and I'm not sure if it's zoomed in enough for you to see, but I wanted you to be able to see my whole page. So we're cutting at 2.5 inches. And the way that I use my description is we're going to be, for directions, I'm going to slide. I say slide and then cut at another 2.5 inches. Cut at 2.5, slid this over 2.5, and this second strip will be reversed. So we're going to slide that over. And then we're going to rotate this piece that's left over is 7 inches because we cut off 5. We're going to rotate this and we're going to cut it at 10 inches. So cut this at 10 inches. And I'm just going to save this piece for now. This is the piece we're going to punch our shapes out of. So just hold on to that for now. Not sure how we're doing pace-wise, but that is all we need to do with that first piece. Ladies who are live with me, give me a thumbs up if you are good to go. Okay. Looking good. All right, so this second piece, as I mentioned, could be designer paper, some tonal cardstock. This is mostly going to be mattes and a matte background for the mattes. So I chose a golden tone-on-tone. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut at 7 inches. And once again, this is going to go in 2 different directions. So I would say something that's non-directional. These are just small triangles. We're going to cut at 7. Then we're going to slide this piece over. And we're going to cut it at 4 inches. So this next piece is cut at 4 inches. This 1-inch strip is left over, so I'm just going to set it aside. You don't need it. And then coming back to this 7-inch piece, we're going to rotate it and cut it at 10 inches. So this is the same size piece as our first print. We're going to cut this at 10. So we have a 7x10 and a 7x10. This piece, once again, is the one we will make punches out of. So I'm just going to set this aside. And then finally, with this last piece, we're going to be cutting a 4x6 mat and a 4x4 mat. So we're going to rotate this 4-inch piece. We're going to cut it at 6 inches. We're going to slide it over and cut it 4 inches. This is extra. You could punch things with it or just use it for another project. As I mentioned, you're going to need, excuse me, I'm going to zoom in here. You're going to need mats. Now, these are two 4x6 horizontal mats. This is one vertical mat, as is this. This could be a photograph if you have extra pictures. This could also be a title mat. And then this mat down here is a 3x4. Once again, if you have lots of pictures, you could use this to mount photographs on, or as a title that's listed here. So what I have is where it says Lucky Dog, I'm going to be using this 4x6 noteworthy mat. So I will set that aside. And then I was looking at the other mats, and because my background paper is yellow, I was trying to decide which mats I have would look nice on this. And I was thinking the light blue. So this was another mat that's left over from this mat set. So I thought I would trim this to 4x6 because it's 4.5 by 6.5. So I'm just going to set this aside. So I will be cutting that. And then because I have the watermelon paper that's going to be going on this side, I thought the watermelon seed, just to bring that color in, I will also trim this one to 4x6. And I'm okay with the fact that the seeds are going the other direction. You know, it could look like a strawberry, so I'm okay with that too. And then finally, like the unconditional love mat that's over here, I thought it would be fun to use Summer Lovin'. As I mentioned, to those of you who are online, my daughter's friends came this summer, so they were on the water. So I thought Summer Lovin' would be a great title. Because this is already 4 inches wide, I'm just going to decide where I want to cut this mat so that it's 3x4. So you'll want to trim your mats either so that you can mount a photograph on it, or so that you can mount a title or have a title, and this is 3x4. So your mats are all either 4x6 or that one title is 3x4. So I'm just going to trim these extra mats down. As I mentioned, if you don't have variety mats, you can certainly use a piece of cardstock and cut 1, 2, 3, 4, 4x6 mats and 1 3x4 mat. And I know that you are all experts at cutting this kind. So there's my second 4x6 mat. 1, 2, 3. And then with this one, because I want it centered, not that it matters significantly, but what I'll do is I will take 1/4 of an inch off of every side, and that will get me down where I want to be. So hi, Karen, nice to see you. We are currently working on the Go Fetch Perfect Kitty Cat project recipe, and we are recording. All right. So that's the last of the mats. And if
I'm
you
sorry
are
to
using,
interrupt, Elise.
sure,
What was the size for the small mat?
3 by 4. It's half of the 4 by 6 mat.
Thank you.
It is no problem. It's a 3 by 4. So you may have some 4 by 6 mats that have a journaling box that you just cut right in half. And so that's what you would do here also. And then in terms of those leftover pieces that I was talking about, we have these extra strips. This is where, depending on what your theme is, you can punch the feline dine punch or the pet palace punch. And as I mentioned, I'll be punching the scallop squares. But I'm going to lay out my page first and then decide where I want to put the squares. So here's our official layout. And the first thing we're going to do is lay down our 2.5-inch strips. So let's move my papers around here. Let me zoom back out. Apologize for a little shadow since my lights are right overhead. There we go. Okay, so if we use the exact sample here, you'll see that the statement print is on the right side. And I'm going to put it in approximately 3/4 of an inch. And I like to mirror, so if I do 3/4 of an inch on that side, I'm going to do 3/4 of an inch on the right side. I like to paper piece first, and then I will stick it down. And then with this next piece, I am going to, let's see, center it here. Looks like about 1/2 inch. I am eyeballing this, about 1/2 inch in. And then your statement print for the right background. And the way I look at it is, if you do it on the right, you can do it on the left if symmetry matters. You can also offset them if you like. Let's grab this in my maps here. Here's my Post-its out of the way. All right, so these are the mats that we cut, the 4 by 6 mat. And so I can see more of my flip-flops. I'm just going to slide it over. And then I'm going to put my title mat here. And I'm actually going to slide this down. In the layout, it suggests that you could put 12-inch sticker strip. You could use your border maker cartridge, a border punch. And I was looking at this and saw that my sun rays for days, I think my suns will look great. So I just want to leave myself enough space to be able to put that at the top. So just keep that in mind when you're laying out your paper.
Elise?
Yes.
How far down was your 7-inch ones?
I'm looking at it. Hold on one second, Berna. Great question. I would say 3.5 inches. I'm sorry, 2.5 inches. I have mine at 9.5 inches, between 9.5 and 2.5. So that's where I have that. And I'm, that just gives me enough space to put that 12-inch sticker strip across the top. And then on the right side, let me grab the rest of my mats. Going slightly above the big piece, and this one goes slightly below. And I know that these are very bright, but most of that will be covered by my photograph because it's a mat. And then over here is the 4x6 and the 3x4. And as I'm looking at this, I think I want to slide it over just a little. So I see a little more stripe. But that is the overall effect. In the layout, they put the dime punch here. So that's where I'm going to put my scallop. And I'm looking at my pieces and I'm thinking, so these are my color patterns. I'm not likely to use the green, although the green grass might look completely different if I punch it. And I do have the green in the flip-flops, or as what probably looks like jelly beans to all of you we talked about earlier. I could also use this piece right here because it has the watermelon seed, which picks up there. So I think I'm just going to give it a try, see what happens. Nope. And this is what happens when you're recording. You get your piece stuck because I have people watching. So I'm going to play around with this for a minute. I know. I don't know if you've seen this, but you can, the new personal trimmer, you get the you can put your regular scissors there, you can put your microchip scissors here, and if you happen to have the I can't say it, tweezers, they fit in here too. So I'm using my tweezers to put my punch up. But it is stuck. There we go. And I don't know, like I said, the scallop square punch is one you can get from your advisor. It has 3 options. You can just punch a scallop square. You can punch a scallop and in the square. And then you can punch a 3-layer one. So let me just show you the other options. So I think it's so new. Here we go. So there's the solid scallop square. Here's the punch. Here's the punched scallop. You could make this go like that. And then the third option punches the scallop, the punched piece in the middle, look at that. Also a scallop. And then the extra piece, ooh, that I dropped on the floor. That's a square scallop. So great all-in-one punch. And then there are some stickers down here. So you can do a sticker cluster down here. Once again, you can map some stickers here. Foam squares are awesome. You could do a little title here. This one says good dog. You could mount that on a foam square, and you could put your 12-inch sticker strips, or if you have additional paper you'd like to coordinate, you can also punch a strip there. I'm going to pause the video here in case anyone who is. So I skipped all of the parts where you got to see me stick this all together, but it is folied here. And just a quick zoom in, I used some foam squares on A Day on the Lake, and I popped the July. So we have double circle there for my little cluster with the Adirondack chair. And down here, I popped the little heart to go with Summer Lovin' and my little bucket there. And I used the sun 12-inch sticker strips. So there is my sun rays for days. And once again, you will find this under Project Recipe. Go fetch in the Files section on the Coast to Coast Scrapbookers page. Thank you for watching.
Can I ask you a quick question, Elise?